in. Okay. So, welcome everyone to this episode of Language Learning Around the World. This is episode number 7, and I'm excited to introduce my special guest for today. Her name is Gaby Torregiani from Argentina, and she's an ESL specialist, a teacherpreneur, TEFL trainer, interpreter, neurolanguage coach, and a lot more. And she is the founder and director of TCLS, Torregiani Corporate Language Services, and she has more than 25 years of ESL teaching and training experience and more than 17 years of classroom experience and 15 years of experience training online. So welcome, Gaby. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. And thanks, Jeff, for the invitation, for having me. I'm very happy, very excited to be sharing things with you. Thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction.
Oh, you're welcome. So what else can you tell us about yourself?
Okay, well, I'm Gaby. I am from Argentina. I live in Argentina. As you said, I am a teacher of English and I am also a public translator. I provide different linguistic services, but I am a TEFL trainer. That's my cup of tea. I teach how to teach English. I coach teachers. I guide them. I help them with the teaching process. And I normally do some in-company training as well. I do have some teachers and colleagues who help me with that. So I normally coordinate the programs and the courses. I talk to the client, I check on goals, check on feedback. I have some interviews, and I help with the teaching process in general. I became a neurolanguage coach a couple of years ago because I became interested in neuroscience and in coaching as well. So I wanted to continue developing in a way, and I was looking for something to integrate everything. Well, I'm always like searching for new methodologies and approaches to incorporate like different techniques. What else? I studied abroad. I worked abroad. I am a Gemini. I am a mom. I have a daughter. I am married. I love teaching. I love the English language. I love languages, and I think that with languages we can learn more about cultures and people. I love traveling, meditating, walking. And yes, as you said, I have been teaching and training for more than 25 years now. Although I do provide linguistic services in Spanish and English, my English is my cup of tea. I work more with the English language, and I am a TEFL trainer. I did that face-to-face, but now I'm doing that online. And I have been doing that online for 15 years, I think.
Okay.
Yes, that's me.
Oh, that's great. So how did you get into teaching? What sparked your interest in becoming a teacher, a coach?
Well, I started studying English in primary school. And I remember when I went to this bilingual school, I saw my second grade teacher, and she was, I think she was playing Simon Says, and then she was singing the song. And I would look at her and I would say, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And I did that. I really liked, she was very good at inspiring and motivating students. And she was like an actress to me. And so I said, this is what I want to do. And I did that because I really like the language and I like working with kids. Well, nowadays I like working with teachers as well. That was the moment I said, I want to be a teacher.
Okay, and what was your own journey like becoming what you are now, a near native English speaker? achieving a really high level. What was the whole journey like for you? What did that involve?
Okay, well, as I said before, I started studying English at a very young age, primary school, then secondary school, then college, because I became a teacher of English. Then I attended a couple of TEFL courses. I had lots of native friends. Then I went to uni. I attended uni in Australia, then in the United States. Then I became a translator. So everything that I did helped me with the language. When I graduated from high school, I started working as a teacher as well, right away, helping in different schools, in kindergarten, primary schools. And so I think that through work, studies, working with foreigners, having foreigners as friends, studying abroad, professional development, everything helped me to acquire a high level of English.
So what were some of the challenges for you learning English, and how did you overcome them?
I think that, well, primary school was okay because all of my teachers were like great at motivating, you know, we would play games, we would sing songs. But then high school got a little bit more challenging because the teachers were different in a way. And we had to like sit for exams. We had to do that. And so sometimes you're not really motivated all the time. And I think that to acquire a language or to develop, you need to be really motivated. So those times were kind of hard. Then let's say when I studied in Australia, and I think I mentioned this before, I was already a teacher of English and my level of English was quite high. But when I arrived in Australia, I didn't understand people because of their accent, because they would use different words. So those moments were like, what? I know English, I'm a teacher of English, but I don't understand native speakers from Australia, let's say.
Right.
So those were the moments that I was like, oh, I will never speak the language perfectly well. And, I understood that when you speak a language, you might be good at speaking a language, but you need to continue using
Definitely.
it, learning the language. There are so many aspects of a language, and so many accents and dialects.
Definitely.
You need to keep on working at that. So.
Yeah, it's the same with Spanish. There are so many different kinds of English and kinds of Spanish dialects, and you can say one thing in one kind of Spanish or English that can be terrible in another country or culture. So that's another aspect of it.
That's right. So don't get frustrated. It's like breathe and keep on going. It's like that's.
I was just thinking, regarding the fact that you are a trainer of other English teachers. I assume they're also non-native speakers. In regarding continuing the process of learning a language, and I know it's a general question, you can't speak for everyone, but what would you say is the attitude or some of the attitudes of some of the teachers that you train regarding their own English? Are some of them, how can I word this? Maybe as an English teacher, do they feel like they can't ask for help with their English because they should know everything? Or I know might be different for different people, but I don't know if you know what I'm driving at, but.
No, it's, I can see your point. Actually, I have my trainees are more native speakers, not non-native speakers. Non-native speakers here in Argentina, but then now I'm doing that. I'm not doing this face-to-face anymore. I'm doing this online. And I have lots of foreigners, lots of native speakers as my trainees. And as you mentioned, that is one of the most challenging things, I believe. A native speaker, when she wants to become certified or a teacher of English, they would say, okay, but her first language is Spanish. How come she can teach us native speakers to teach the language? So that was, I don't know if that was your question, but that was like a very challenging, not now, because when they see what I do and that I can help them in the teaching process, they understand. But before, when I was very young, they would say, okay, she's a teacher, but her first language is Spanish. How come she can teach us how to teach English? That was weird. And that was
well, yeah, when I did my TEFL certificate, 2 of the trainers were non-native speakers, and that wasn't a problem. But yeah, they did a good job. One was from Austria and one was from Iran. But what I was thinking was, I'm just wondering in general if non-native speaker teachers might, and it could be different for each person, feel uncomfortable looking to improve their English, taking English lessons as a teacher already.
Oh, I know what you mean. Well, it really depends on the teacher and on the personality, some teachers might feel what you mentioned. I am a teacher of English and I am a TEFL trainer as well. I help teachers, I train teachers, and I try to keep on studying all the time. I try to keep on developing. So I know what you mean. It might happen. It really depends on the personality of the teacher,
definitely,
on the person. But I think we need to keep on going. We need to keep on studying the language and to stay updated, because now in teaching you have so many things. Education is changing, so we need to keep updated as well.
Yeah, even as a native speaker, there's still more to learn about my own language. So what was your teacher training like, becoming a teacher? What were some of the courses like, and what was that experience like?
Okay, I graduated from high school and then I started attending college right away. And it was like a 3-year course. That was my course here of studies in Argentina. And as I mentioned before, then I left for the United States and I attended some TEFL courses there. I did the training course, but apart from that, I took some TEFL courses as well.
Okay.
Okay, so, and then I became a TEFL trainer right away. And the subjects that we had there were phonetics, language, grammar, methodology, a little bit of literature, a little bit of language acquisition, a little bit of everything.
I know for me, one of the most, at first, nerve-wracking parts of my training, but one of the most helpful was observing and being observed, well, especially being observed. I'm comfortable with that now, but I think that's one of the most helpful parts of teacher training from my perspective.
I totally agree. Observation and feedback and lesson planning. I don't know if you had that. Maybe it was included in that process, but yes, I think it's very important.
It can be uncomfortable, but once you get used to it, it's
of course.
It's not a problem. So let's talk about Spanish and English for a little bit, how they compare, and how they're similar, how they're different, and how that affects how you teach and how that affects your learners, if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, Spanish, English, as for I think there are more differences, but I'm not sure. You can help me with that. As for similarities, we have the same alphabet, right? So some structures are very similar. There are lots of cognates that might be helpful. Well, they are Spanish is romantic, the other one is Germanic, but there are lots of influences, right? I think that as for differerences, I don't know if you want me to mention some differences because I do remember some. Okay.
Sure.
One big difference is that in English, you normally place the adjective before the noun. And in Spanish, we place the adjective after the noun. For example, you would say in English, the red lamp, and in Spanish, you would say la lámpara roja. Well, you know Spanish, so you can. So that's a big difference. I think that in English, the pronunciation is more difficult because you have more vowels or more sounds. In Spanish, we have just 5 vowels, and the pronunciation is easier to acquire to me, right? To me. Then in English, you always use the subject, whereas in Spanish, we sometimes omit the subject. That is a big difference. I do not always compare the languages when I'm teaching. I think I can do that with adults and with higher levels. Sometimes I do that, but if not, I don't do it. But these are some things that, I don't know, that it's good to, at least as a teacher, remember them. It's good to know them, right? Because you can help your students when you know the big differences from the languages. We don't have lots of contracted forms. We don't, that we don't, for example, I kind of think of, we don't, I'm thinking, but we don't have that many. Then we have some differences as punctuation marks. When you ask a question, we have the question mark at the beginning and at the end, and in English, you only have it at the end. Right. Right? What else? I'm thinking of, as for nouns and articles, in English, you don't have feminine and masculine, whereas in Spanish, we do. The noun can be feminine or masculine, so that the article changes, right? For example, you would say the house, but we say la casa or el perro. So there we have a question of gender. And there is a difference. So in that case, English is easier. I think we have more conjugations as well in Spanish. English is easier as for tenses, as for verb tenses and conjugation. Right.
It's just the difference of he and she.
Yes.
In the present.
And then let's see, guide me. I cannot remember now. There are lots of differences, simple differences, but that might be helpful.
Knowing some of the differences definitely helps with the issue of L1 interference. And I think, is it true that there's more mobility in terms of the location of words in Spanish, that they're not as fixed as in English? Do you know what I mean? Words can be put in different places and still make sense. You can still say the same thing, whereas in English they have to be in a certain order. Right. I think the English order is stricter than in Spanish.
Right. Yes. You're right. Then I'm thinking of some of the differences. I think I mentioned this before. As for formal and informal language, you use only you. And we have, well, tú. We don't, in Argentina, our Spanish is different because we use vos, but we have also usted. So there you have another difference. And we have lots of cognates, you know, sometimes they're helpful, Sometimes they're
Yeah.
not. Sometimes they're
False
really
cognates.
false cognates, false friends. And sometimes it could be really, it can get really challenging. But then I think that those are great for pronunciation. Sometimes Spanish, English share the same endings, and we
Right.
have sometimes the same words. So maybe with beginners, you can start with those words
Yeah.
because they will learn some vocabulary faster. There is a lot of influence, and we share some words as well. Sandwich, and I think you also, in English, you also use Spanish words. We use some English words, you use some Spanish words, and then there are some words that are very similar.
Yeah, there are words, especially food words, don't normally get translated from one language to another if it's a specialty. Yeah, if it's a specialty of the culture, you don't really translate tortilla or kimchi or croissant. You might change the pronunciation, but
that's correct. But I think that it's a good, those words are great when you start with beginners, when you start teaching.
Right. It helps to reduce the reliance on translation.
Right.
And I was thinking, you were talking about the alphabet. One thing, even though we have the same alphabet, as I've explained to my Spanish tutor, they don't represent the same sounds, which can be confusing.
You have more sounds, definitely. Lots of
well,
sounds.
even just consonants like R or R. That's why when foreigners speak Spanish, they say something like, yo quiero hablar español. And it's because in English, well, R can be silent, like in party, depending on your accent, but the hard R, the rhotic R, is not the same as in Spanish. It's in English, it's R. In Spanish, it's more of a D or R. It's a different sound.
Yes, you have. Yeah. Well, we shared. We have different sounds. I think that, and there are sounds that you have that we don't have. And I don't mean just vowels. Or when you read and when you speak, sometimes you omit certain letters and sounds, certain consonants, for example, in island. Whereas in Spanish, when you read, some words, you normally read like the whole thing. We don't generally omit letters. Then for a native speaker, I know that it's hard for them to roll their R's. That's like the biggest problem. And I think that like for a Spanish speaker or maybe for a foreigner speaking English, a difficult sound would be, well, at least for Spanish speakers, would be wa and or th, because we don't have them, we don't use them. So those are hard sounds to pronounce. Yeah.
So you teach children, you teach adults, business people. So in Argentina, how important is English and how does that affect the motivation of your learners?
Well, it's becoming more and more important, language awareness in a way. In Argentina, English is important, and we have lots of bilingual schools, very good bilingual schools. But it's not like in some other countries where they have two official languages, or for example, in Mexico, I think they have Spanish and English, not official, but Spanish, English, and English is a lot more important, maybe because they are really close to the United States. I'm not sure. Here in Argentina, it is important. We have very good bilingual schools, but I think that we need more training in public schools. In public schools, kids do not have that many hours of English. Nowadays, English at certain schools in certain provinces is mandatory, but they don't have that many hours. They don't have that many teachers. So I think we need to keep on working on this because language is very important. English is very important. As you know, it's a global language, so we need to keep on working on that. But it is important. And so more and more people, kids, teenagers, adults want to learn English. Parents want their kids to learn English. So it's becoming more and more important.
Okay, and I'm just going to cover my camera so we can see the background. Tell us about your business here, TCLS.
TCLS is Torregiani Corporate Language Services. I started my business, or I started going independent in 2005. In that time, I started providing different linguistic services, Spanish, English. Nowadays, I do the same thing, but I do not offer that many services. I normally select the project because of a question of time, right? So at this moment, I normally coach teachers. I do some in-company training. I sometimes work on consultancy. I help different companies. I recruit teachers, I coach them, and I don't work with Spanish a lot. It's, every now and then that I work as an interpreter, but I don't work with Spanish a lot nowadays. Before I would give Spanish lessons, and I would have teachers, and I would help them as well with their teaching. But nowadays I focus on English only.
Okay. And I'll put the link to your website and your YouTube channel in the box below so that people can reach out to you. So what else do you want to tell us about in terms of your career or English? Any tips for learners or teachers? Any trade secrets that won't be secrets anymore once you tell us?
Well, what can I share? Well, you mentioned the YouTube channel. I started with that a couple of years ago. I do that for fun. I normally share some tips for parents, kids, teachers, mainly for teachers. That's what I do there. And I sometimes carry out interviews as well. What can I say? To learners, I would say keep on studying. Languages are very helpful. English is very helpful. English opens doors. The English language, or being able to communicate into different languages. Well, now I'm studying Italian, but
Wow.
being able to use and to switch from one language to another gave me the opportunity to do different things, to work in different areas, different companies, to travel, communicate, and meet different people. So it really, I think that languages open doors. So keep on studying, and for teachers, the same thing. Professional development is key. Yeah. Keep on going, keep on trying things. Education is changing, is evolving. So stay updated. In my case, I'm always going for more. As I said before, I'm a teacher of English, then I became a translator. I became a neurolanguage coach. I am a TEFL trainer, and nowadays I am doing my master's in linguistics.
Oh, wow.
So, I want to learn more about the language itself, language acquisition, how to motivate students, and how people can acquire the language in a better way. So I'm always going for more. And so, go for more. I consider myself, and in your introduction, you mentioned this, a teacherpreneur.
Oh, yes.
A combination of teacher and entrepreneur. So I am a very innovative person, and I'm always trying things out within the classroom and outside the classroom. Go for it. Do different things. That's the thing I would share.
Okay. So, thank you everyone for watching. Please check out Gaby's website and YouTube channel. And of course, Gaby, thank you for sharing your experience and expertise and everything. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and good luck. Thank you.
thank you. Thanks for having me. And next time we can have it in Spanish.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay, thanks for
That'll be
having me.
fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.